Hi everyone, Nick from Gallery 7, and we just finished framing this beautiful Chinese scroll, and the client, who is so patient and kind, came in last July. The frame she ordered is still on back order. We still can't get her frame. So we looked into a company called Vermont Hardwoods up in Vermont, and they had a perfect frame for what she wanted. They got it to us on time. They mill all the wood there themselves. Thank you, Vermont Hardwoods. It's a beautiful job. Two things to mention about how we framed it. In the video you're going to see, I talk about attaching this down with rice starch glue, these two straps. And then I had a duh moment, like, doing, and I said, I'm just going to pin it. So there's no glue on this, nice little pins through here. And the little wooden dowel that goes in there that this hangs on, I was concerned about the cloth of that rubbing against the black painted surface, so that is covered with thread. So two things I wanted to clear up about the job, and enjoy the video. Hey everyone, we're framing this beautiful scroll for our client who's been very patient, as we told you. And we're going to talk about how we're framing this. First, I'm going to roll this up. I'm going to roll it back out in a minute. Ignore the dust on this cloth. That's all going to be cleaned with a roller, lint roller. So this is a piece of black cotton linen. It has been dry mounted to a piece of acid-free foam core. The acid-free foam core has been attached down to this strainer back, and when the piece gets mounted on here, the frame drops right over the top, and that's how we're going to deal with getting that beautiful black background. Now when this gets put down, what we're going to do is, this is going to be tied on here with monofilament, clear fishing line. It will be virtually invisible. This is going to go right up and out of the edge and be attacked back here. That's what's going to hold the top in. These are really meant to show. I don't want to tuck them behind, because if they were behind this over time, you would start to see a ghost image of these transferring through to the front. So we're going to take a little bit of archival rice starch paste and just gently tack these down here and here. So that's how this is being dealt with. Now, of course, when we put this in the frame, we don't want the glass pressing up against this, so there has to be a spacer, and that's what we're going to show you next. All right, so this is the frame we showed you earlier, and this is upside down right now. So the piece with the scroll on it is going to rest right here on this spacer. And this is a really big spacer. Sometimes you put them in with double-sided tape, but in this case, it's so big, it's so much work to do it. And if the spacer is glued in or put in with double-sided tape, you pretty much have to break it to take it apart. You would have like a paper one, you'd rip it off or something, and getting this out if it was glued on or taped on would be very difficult. So this is going to be screwed on. Now, this is the plexiglass that's going to end up being in the frame. But while I'm getting these screw holes pre-done, I'm keeping the plastic on the plexiglass. I want to get all of these done with screws so that when the plastic is off of the plexiglass, this backing material is gone, I'm not futzing around trying to get the screws to fit, in which case I could easily scratch the plexiglass. So this is pretty simple, but quite time consuming. I take my awl, and you notice how I've got a piece of mat board even protecting this further. Plexiglass is a pain in the neck. It scratches so easily. I just make a little hole with the awl. I'd love to use my drill on this, but the drill chuck is too big and I have to come in at an angle, and these have to pretty much go straight in. So I have to do this on 20 of these. I drilled these nice countersunk holes. Now, the screws I'm going to use have been painted a flat black, but I don't want to mar up the paint on those, so all these little pre-done holes are going to be done with the unpainted screws. All right, we'll show you more later. Okay, we're going to mount down the scroll. A couple of things to keep in mind. One, I do not want to make a mistake because this is going to be tied on with monofilament or fishing line, and boy, do I have to get that hole in just the right place. If I make a mistake and have to move it a lot, I could ruin this backboard that I made. So it's going to have monofilament wrapping around here. It's going to go through a hole in here, but this is just foam core. And I have to twist it in behind to get it tight. So these are little washers. Let's see if we can get to see that. That's the back of it. The front has been covered in cloth. I do not want this touching metal. So it's been covered in black cloth. So that will punch a hole in there. This is going to sit right on that beautiful cloth, and then the fishing line goes down and through the hole in the washer. That's how we do the bottom. Now, the top, in the past, I've done the top with brass clips to hold it like that. I thought for this piece, I'd go for a more minimal kind of look. So what's going to happen is, where did I put it? Hang on, keep the camera right there, right back. It's a little wooden dowel, and I still decided whether I want to make this black or cherry color. Right now it's cherry color. So what's going to happen is, this is going to get drilled into there, going to be put in at a slight angle, and it's going to, in a sense, be hanging off of this. But that would leave this free to do this. So this is a piece of 8-ply black mat board. And this is going to be glued onto the backboard, of course not the scroll. Of course, they'll be cut to the size. So it's going to sit right here, and it's going to keep this from rotating like that. That should keep it nice and stable in the horizontal plane. So when it's like that, this is then pulled like that, and that's kind of how it's going to look. Of course, you won't see this, that'll be cut off. Okay, so here we are, and this is the most pain in the ass part of the whole project, is dealing with plexiglass. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So the plexiglass comes coated with paper or plastic, and you remember yesterday, or the other day when I did the other part of the video, I had the spacers in here that I actually handmade these spacers and countersunk all the screw holes, put a nice finish on them. And remember, with the paper still on, I drilled all the holes and put all of the screws in. I want to do as little drilling, working. I don't want to do any of that with this plexiglass exposed. So once I get this peeled off, I'm going to reinstall these with everything having been pre-drilled and a lot of the work already having been done. I just want you to keep in mind that if I'm working on this plexiglass, and I'll tell you what this is in a second, and I just dropped it like that, I just ruined that piece of plexiglass, and I'll have to cut a whole new piece. So this is an anti-static gun, and it neutralizes static electricity, sort of. And as I pull this plastic backing off, you can see how staticky it gets, and that attracts all kinds of dust. So I just kind of keep using this. Okay, here we go. So these are the spacers, as you can see in here, that I'm putting on. Now, one would think I may have to bow this out a little bit to get it to fit into here, and I don't. Well, maybe I do. But I have this paper here because when I do this, I can't let this bow out and scrape on the plexiglass when I push it back into position. There we go. All right, that one's in. Now we're going to come down and do the other side. So I'm going to take my paper. So the idea here is, this is all about protecting the plexiglass. I'm going to step in front of the camera. Okay, now now we can switch sides, Kelly. All right, so these all have to be screwed in. And you'll notice I've got a piece of foam core here. I don't want to slip with the screwdriver. I don't want to drop a screw onto the plexiglass. So it's all about protecting the plexiglass at all costs. Now, here I have, well, I'm not really protecting the plexiglass holding it over like that, am I? But these are all the screws I painted black. And I'm going to start by getting the middle in. And let's see, Kelly's going to walk around so you can see. And because these have all been pre-drilled and screws have been in and out of here, they go in very easily. So that's it. I'm not going to show you the tedium of doing the whole thing, but when we start putting it together, we will show you more. Nice, you can sit on those. It is.
It's gorgeous.
It
Oh
really
my
is.
gosh, yeah. You know when you buy things on eBay sometimes, it's
Yeah.
like hit and miss, but this is really gorgeous.
So you ended up with something nicer than you initially had wanted, which is it's actually on black cloth that I mounted to a piece of foam core. So
Yeah,
that's
that's it.
black linen.
Oh my gosh, it is gorgeous.
Look how
Thank
pretty
you.
it is.